Well, hello. Welcome to Healing Outside the Box. My name is Jean Tiberio, and I'm a nutritionist and a wellness coach. You're listening to episode 238, and it's part 2 of the 411 on nutrition supplements. Now, I left off after the C's. I am going by alphabetical order, and I got to only C last week. So if you're interested in a supplement in the A through C category, you can just listen to last week's episode. Oh, by the way, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app and you would like to subscribe, that might be easier since you will get a notification when my next episode is up. The majority of people listen to podcasts either on Apple Podcasts, the old iTunes, or Spotify, but I can be found on many smaller apps like Pocket Casts or Castro. Now with Apple Podcasts, you just open up Apple or iTunes and search for Healing Outside the Box. Then underneath the picture with a little red and white tablecloth, you will see a subscribe button. In Spotify, it's a little different. You open up the app, then click search on the left usually, then click podcasts. Type in the name Healing Outside the Box, and then when it comes up, click the heart-shaped icon, and it will be saved to your library. Okay, back to nutrition supplements. Starting with the D's. Deer Antler Velvet. Believe it or not, that is a thing. And it's touted for athletic performance. Now, this antler velvet is a coating on the growing bone of deer antlers in male deer. Sounds like you might want that if you're a guy, right? Well, listen on. It's touted as a steroid to increase testosterone levels. I'm guessing it was a man who decided that this was a good idea. This antler velvet actually contains a substance that regulates the growth of their antlers. A study was done, believe it or not, that showed that there were no beneficial effects on athletic performance, nor did anyone grow antlers or anything else. DHEA. Let's see if I can get through this. Dehydroepiandrosterone. It's also known as androstenedione, and this is a hormone produced in the adrenal glands of everyone. For humans, and I guess we're talking about humans now, DHEA can increase levels of both testosterone and estrogen. I don't know how much, but it did increase them. There has been some evidence to suggest that it may improve vaginal dryness in postmenopausal women, but, and now here's the big but, it has not been shown effective as an anti-aging pill, which I'm guessing is behind the advertising. Now, it has been banned as an over-the-counter supplement due to its possible carcinogenic effects when given in pill form. It is still available, I believe, as a prescription. But you need to be careful with this. Do not take if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, or if you are on seizure meds, or if you're on lithium for bipolar, or if you're taking estrogen. You get the picture. Echinacea. Okay, now we're getting into sensible territory. This is a genus of flowering plant, commonly known as the coneflower. It's been promoted for many different ailments, but there's only evidence that it has some benefit in preventing colds. It has been shown to increase white blood cells. Now you can make a tea out of it. Short-term use of the Echinacea tea is probably safe, but if you're doing anything long-term or taking it in a more potent pill form, talk to your physician. There might be some uncertainty in terms of safety once you get into high doses. And definitely, this is not for someone with lupus or any autoimmune disorders. But it's probably safe in the doses recommended. Ephedra. This supplement is derived from a shrub native to Central Asia. It has been promoted for both weight loss and athletic performance. Ephedra was banned in 2003. Wow, that was a while ago, when it was found to have potentially serious side effects. Oh, say like heart attacks and strokes. Enough said about that. Now, here's an interesting one. Echinacea tea. In this supplement, obviously given as a tea, has been promoted to treat cancer, HIV, diabetes, etc. This Echinacea was developed way back in the 1920s by a Canadian nurse, and it was promoted as an alternative cancer treatment. And I think you know what I'm about to say. I wouldn't take anything if you have cancer unless you speak to your doctor first. But let's talk about what it is. It contains 4 plant-based ingredients: burdock root, sheep sorrel, slippery elm, and rhubarb. Rhubarb I'm good with. Now, lab studies have shown that Echinacea does have some antioxidant properties, but research into the touted cures has conflicting results. Echinacea was shown to prevent the growth of prostate cancer cells, which is interesting, but it stimulated the growth of breast cancer cells. Also interesting, but not in the same way. It's also been recommended for depression, but in studies, it has been shown to not improve quality of life or moods. In fact, it might have negative effects on your mood. In high doses, side effects can include nausea, fatigue, and generalized stomach pain, but the symptoms disappear after you stop it. By the way, it's also sold under the name fluorescence, evening primrose oil. This is extracted by a yellow flowering plant native to North America. It contains the essential fatty acid linolenic acid, so you do need this essential fatty acid. Now it has been placed on the skin to treat eczema. Right now there is not enough evidence to support this claim, but it certainly can't hurt, and that's what I would advise people. If you put it on your skin and it helps heal a rash, then fine. I will be getting to the whole subject of essential oils when we get down to the peppermint oil, as I have some opinions on that. There are a lot of essential oils, so if you're trying 1 or 2 and you're not using high doses, fine. But if you're using it as a therapeutic, be careful with doses. Now, this evening primrose oil has been used for PMS symptoms, but there's no good evidence to support that. You might be running into the placebo effect. You rub it on your skin and you feel better, then terrific. But be careful if you're using this while pregnant or on blood thinners. Fenugreek. Okay, this is an herb that is grown in the Mediterranean and in India. The seeds are used in cooking, but the leaves are sometimes also used in Indian cooking. These seeds are an ingredient in the Indian spice blend called garam masala. I happen to have some in my kitchen. It has a sweet smell similar to maple syrup. So that's the seed. Now, what about the supplement? It has been touted to improve blood sugar in diabetics, but the evidence for this is weak. Again, I would caution you about taking the supplement pill if you're pregnant or you have a family history of hormonal cancers. And this is because it may mimic estrogen and worsen the cancer. And by hormonal cancers, I mean breast cancer, cervical cancer, and ovarian cancer. So the bottom line is that the seeds are great if you like to cook with them, but once you increase the dose and put it in a pill form, you have to watch out for some serious side effects. Feverfew. This is a daisy-like plant that grows in Asia and the Balkans. These fresh leaves are dried and used for medicinal purposes. It is taken for migraines and menstrual cramps. It has also been used for psoriasis, stomach aches, arthritis, and, believe it or not, insect bites. Now, researchers have isolated several compounds in this plant, and they fall under the family of lactones. You don't have to remember that, but one of them in particular may be an anti-inflammatory compound. So that's good. There is accumulating evidence that it does in fact relieve migraines and may actually in the future be used for its possible anti-cancer activity. It should not be given to people taking blood thinners. Certainly talk to your doctor if you're planning on taking this or similar products in pill form. And I know I just mentioned it, but if you happen to be taking any blood thinner like Coumadin, warfarin. There are many supplements that you need to avoid. So again, check with your doctor. Now, under the F, we have fish oils. Now, these are generally concentrated with the omega-3 fatty acids. And the two essential omega-3s are DHA and EPA. Now, you know that omega-3 fatty acids can be important in preventing and managing heart disease. Omega-3s have been known to lower blood pressure and triglycerides as well. But as common sense might suggest, it's probably better to eat the fish because you get many beneficial properties from the fish itself. It's low in fat, it's got other fatty acids that may be beneficial, and the fish oil pills could be contaminated with cholesterol. I read that in a journal article. And there have been studies suggesting that the fish helps reduce the risk of heart disease, but maybe not so much the pills. And we don't know the reason for this, other than what maybe I've just mentioned. And we also don't know this for sure, but people may be taking fish oil pills with a big T-bone steak and fries. In order to evaluate that, we would have to know exactly what the people in the studies have been eating. But what they do know is that people that eat the fish 1 to 4 times a week do have a lowered risk of heart disease. And there's been plenty of studies to show that. Okay, flaxseed. Flaxseed oil supplements are sometimes taken for their omega-3 fatty acids. But the same rules apply as with the fish oil pills. Flaxseed is great. Flaxseed oil in pill form may not give you all the beneficial effects. And of course, one of them is fiber. So flaxseed itself is better than the pills, but there'll be no harm in moderate to low doses. Fluoride. Fluoride obviously helps prevent cavities, and it's safe when used as directed. Now, as for fluoride in pill form, there's really not enough evidence to recommend it to parents. I'll put a link to the article in the show notes for you, and that was from the NIH. I really want to stop right here and talk about the movie Dr. Strangelove, but I won't. Well, maybe just a little. If you haven't seen the movie Dr. Strangelove, you must, especially if you like silly comedies like the Pink Panther series, which I happen to love. Anyway, in Dr. Strangelove, the guy in the military that was responsible for sending the codes to start a nuclear war went, well, a little nutty in the head. And he thought that the fluoridation of the water supply was a big commie plot to destroy America. So he set off a nuclear bomb, which, because he's a little nutty in the head, maybe it's not a good movie to see now, in the year 2020. Enough said. Okay, focus factor. This is advertised to improve memory, concentration, and focus. Thus the name. All for only $30 a bottle. Now, that would be a steal if it actually worked. Let's see what it has in it. There's actually quite a lot of substances in this thing. We have glutamine, which is an amino acid. It's a common one, so we normally get plenty of that. More is not necessarily better. Next, we have inositol, which is actually a vitamin-like compound, and it is active in our brain and other organs. There has been some interesting studies on the use of inositol, and this is for the symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome, and there were some positive results. But what about memory? I ran across a journal article where they gave people with Down syndrome more inositol, and they found that it actually had a negative effect on their memory. There's some interesting research on inositol with regard to serotonin levels in depressed people, or even people with obsessive-compulsive disorder. But this is a serious connection because it involves your brain, and it should be reviewed with your doctor. Now, focus factor also has DHA in it, and DHA is one of the 2 omega-3 fatty acids that are in fish, as I've just mentioned. I'll give you the link to a detailed article on it in the show notes. it goes into DHA in memory. What they're saying, this is the DHA, which is the omega-3 fatty acid, is that this supplement may in fact increase episodic memory, which is interesting. But that's DHA. That's not the whole Focus Factor pill. Now, Focus Factor also contains choline, which is a precursor for acetylcholine. Now, choline is an important substance for our body, but we can get choline from food and from the manufacture of choline in our bodies. Now, if you're interested in a supplement like this, that's a hodgepodge of things. You should speak to your doctor. Where have you heard that before? And once he gives you the okay, I would suggest taking the individual supplements. In that way, you have some control over the amounts that you're taking of each one. Now, under the F's, we have flucloxanthin. This supplement contains a carotenoid found in seaweed. It is touted for the treatment of weight loss, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and metabolic syndrome. If you're interested in metabolic syndrome, or if you heard it and you'd like to know what it is, I did a whole episode on it. It's episode 226, and I'll put a link in the show notes. Carotenoids are pigment-like compounds. In other words, they provide the orange in carrots. And when it comes to this one, flucloxanthin, there has been some evidence that it does have pharmacological value. The problem seems to be the bioavailability when you're taking it in pill form, because it may be broken down in your stomach. But it's generally safe, and it has, at least in the lab, with lab animals, been found to lower triglyceride and possibly cholesterol in obese individuals. When this seaweed extract was fed to obese individuals, not lab animals, there was a drop in body weight and a drop in liver fat. And you might be thinking, who cares if we have fatty livers, since you can't see it? Well, my answer is everybody should, because it's not a good thing. Now I think I'll stop here, because I have a lot of G's to go through, and I'll start on that for next week. If you have any question about a specific supplement, or anything for that matter, please don't hesitate to email me. I'll give you the link in the show notes to my email address, or you could send me a text on my website through Tawk, TAWK.TO, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening, and be well.